Now, what is your idea of anesthesia? What do you mean by anesthesia? Have you got any idea? Anybody? Huh? Loss of consciousness, good. So, first of all, I will give you an overview of anesthesia, both general anesthesia and regional anesthesia. Okay? So, you must have a comprehensive idea of anesthesia. In our times, anesthesia was not included in this undergraduate class, but now newer NMC rules is incorporated this part of anesthesia in your curriculum. So, what you say that anesthesia means the loss of consciousness. That means you know that every surgical procedure is painful, however small it may be. So, the pain sensation, the first thing the patient asks, যে ডাক্তারবাবু আমার ব্যথা লাগবে না তো, আমি বুঝতে পারবো না তো. Patient is apprehensive that he will have or he or she will suffer from pain. Actually, they are not scared of the surgery, but they are scared of the pain that will be involved with this surgical procedure. So, the anesthesiologist's role is to relieve the pain not only during surgery, but also the post-operative period. So, this anesthesia is essential for the practice of surgery, and nowadays, without anesthesia, surgery is unimaginable. However small procedure it may be, there must be relief of pain. Patient will not suffer. Then you must know the history of anesthesia. There is evidence of surgical operations were done even in 5000 before Christ, but no history is available whether at that time anesthesia was available or not. No evidence of anesthesia. In our country, Sushruta, in 500 years before Christ, he performed all sorts of operations, but without any anesthesia. So the surgeons were handicapped, because at that time you may see the pictures that the patient's hands and feet are tied with ropes, and some Palwan like they presses the hands and feet and the surgeon is operating. But that should not be done. So, but at that time there was no concept of anesthesia and no concept of pain relief during anesthesia. 1771, Joseph Priestley, he discovered oxygen. And the same Joseph Priestley, he discovered in 1772 nitrous oxide. In 1798, the inhalational properties of nitrous oxide were demonstrated and mentioned by Sir Humphrey Davy, and he discovered that there is relief of pain when one patient inhales this nitrous oxide. And he showed that there is relief of pain caused by an erupting wisdom teeth, but clinicians, they didn't believe it, and they overlooked his suggestions. Then came 1540. In 1540, a flammable volatile liquid was synthesized by Cordus. এই স্লাইডগুলো না এলে খুব অসুবিধে। By Cordus, and he named it sweet vitriol because it smells sweet. It is 1540. Then after 200 years, in 1740, Frobenius, he named it ether. He derived this word from the Greek word which means to ignite or blaze. But it was discovered but the anesthetic properties, that ether has some anesthetic properties, that was not explained and it was unknown to the world. Then in 1845, in early 1800, there were some ether frolics, because some young people, they gather in a room in a Saturday night and they inhaled a gas, that is the nitrous oxide, and they felt a sense of well-being by inhaling this nitrous oxide. So in one such gathering, in 1845, Horace Wells from Connecticut, he was a dental surgeon. So he, under the influence of this gas, he fell down and broke one of his leg. But he saw next day that while he injured his leg and there is broken his leg, he didn't feel any pain. So that strikes his mind that this gas must have some analgesic property. That's why while under its influence, he didn't feel any pain. The next day, he experimented it with his own teeth. He did one extraction of teeth under the influence of this gas, and he saw that he didn't feel any pain. So he then told the people in Massachusetts General Hospital that I'll demonstrate the analgesic properties of this gas and ether mainly. So he gathered the people, everybody gathered there in Massachusetts General Hospital, but when he experimented, the patient groaned and he said that I felt pain. So everybody, he was humiliated and he was called a humbug, and the matter ends there, and afterwards he committed suicide. Then came, it is Horace Wells, then came 1846. 1846, one of the most significant events took place in the history of anesthesia. Dr. W.T.G. Green-Morton, he first demonstrated ether as the anesthetic agent in Massachusetts General Hospital. In your postgraduate entrance examination of the anesthesia questions, sometimes this question came, what date is the World Anesthesia Day? Okay. On this day, W.T.G. Green-Morton, he first demonstrated ether, and when all people gathered in the Massachusetts General Hospital in the gallery, but W.T.G. Green-Morton was not seen anywhere. So everybody thought that he is also a humbug, he cannot demonstrate these things. At the last moment, the patient was also there, the surgeon was present, but Green-Morton was absent. The last moment, Green-Morton came running with a big box in his hand. He said that I will demonstrate, but this box contains an instrument by which I will administer anesthesia. So I am a bit late for bringing this apparatus. Then the patient has a small tumor over his neck, and then he administered anesthesia by that instrument with a clear liquid, sweet smelling liquid, and then he said, "Surgeon, your patient is ready." When he thought that the patient becomes anesthetized, then the surgeon removed the tumor, and afterwards when the patient was asked whether he has any pain occurred during the surgery, he said, "No, I didn't feel any pain, but there was some pressure while removing I felt some pressure over here, but I didn't feel any pain." So W.T.G. Green-Morton is recognized as an anesthesiologist, and after that anesthesia has come into practice. And that day was 1846, 16th October. It is a regulated day for we the anesthesiologists, and this day is observed all over the world. till now, all over the world, the anesthesiologists celebrate this day as by organizing seminars and workshops. It is a regulated day for we the anesthesiologists. So after that, the ether has several properties, but it has some adverse effects also. But ether was very safe drug. You cannot kill a patient with ether. And ether was practiced all over the world. When we did our house staffship in 1982, at that time, who were placed in the health centers, there was no anesthetic apparatus, nothing, but small operations, even Caesar was done under open ether anesthesia, because anesthesia machine was not available at that time in the health centers or rural hospitals. And nowadays everything is available everywhere. So ether was very safe drug. The only problem is ether, though it is sweet smelling, but it is pungent, some pungent smelling. So initially the patient has to be put into different stages of anesthesia. Then when the surgical plane of surgical anesthesia is reached, when the surgeon can operate. So that period is very problematic. Once the patient reaches that plane, then the patient becomes relaxed, and ether causes good relaxation, which is necessary for abdominal operations. Otherwise, if there is no relaxation, surgeon cannot operate. So ether has so many properties. That's why ether has been the sole anesthetic agent for so many years all over the world. But gradually, research is going on, and other volatile anesthetic agents are coming into practice. Next come into practice is chloroform. Chloroform is very sweet smelling, but the problem of chloroform is the margin of safety is much less. That's why there are several deaths, mainly from cardiac problems, sudden death after chloroform anesthesia. So few years chloroform reigned, but afterwards search for newer anesthetic agents which have greater margin of safety are coming. Then comes the halogenic ethers. Adverse effects of ether are overcome in these halogenic ethers. Nowadays, these things are coming into practice, and we use these volatile agents for anesthesia. Next. So what is the role of anesthesiologist? The main role of anesthesiologist is in the operating room, where you have to anesthetize the patient and keep the patient ready for operation, and during the operation, patient must be senseless, loss of consciousness, muscle relaxation and everything. But not only nowadays, we the anesthesiologists, many of our students, they are going for pain medicine, they are going for critical care. There are GNB courses in critical care, there are GNB courses in pain. So, apart from giving anesthesia, these are incorporated nowadays in the anesthesia. You see that the patients, when like a big major surgery is undergoing, patient is undergoing a major surgery. Those patients sometimes we do not reverse the patient in the post-operative period. Or some patients, some have some heart problems or lung problems or other comorbidities. So we think that these patients should not be sent to the ward for proper monitoring in the post-operative period for 1 day or 2 days or 12 hours. We send the patient to the post-anesthetic care unit. Every hospital, nursing home, everywhere, this post-anesthetic care unit, which is under the cover of anesthesiologist. So that continuous monitoring during the post-operative period should be done, and when he or is fit, he may be sent to the ward or cabin. So in the pre-operative clinic, what is pre-operative clinic? In our times, no pre-operative clinic was there. So what happens in the morning when the patient comes to OT, patient was on the table, we saw that patient is, blood pressure is 200 by 120, or the blood sugar is more than normal. So the operation is to be cancelled. So that is very problematic. And what happens, these patients, he has some treatment for 7 days or 10 days, the bed is occupied. So nowadays, for 20 or 25 years back, this pre-anesthetic clinic has come into practice. In every hospital, in our hospital also, there is pre-anesthetic clinic. What happens? When the patient is put for operation for the surgeons, they send the patient to the pre-operative clinic. In the pre-operative clinic, we take the history, proper history, whether the patient has any comorbidities or the history. Suppose with the anesthesiologist, this neck part is very much important to us. So the patient may have, whether the patient can open his mouth widely, or is there any tumor or anything that may hinder our intubation, or if we give the regional, I'll come afterwards, the local area in the over the back spinal cord, is there, if there is any infection, local infection, or the patient has any generalized infection, these all history and all the investigations. And if you want some special investigation, suppose the patient is borderline diabetic, so you may send the patient to your endocrinology, or patient you saw that there is a thyroid swelling here, so you may send the patient, these patients are to be sent to the endocrinology. Some patients you see in the ECG that there is ischemic changes, so you get the opinion from the cardiologist. Sometimes there are heart block, first degree heart block, second degree heart block, bifascicular block. In those patients, there may be necessary to temporary pacemaker. So before operation, a temporary pacing is done. Afterwards, 1 or 2 days, it was removed. And in future, the patient may go for permanent pacemaker. So these all things, these to be examined and located. And after, in the pre-anesthetic clinic, the anesthesiologist give the green signal, then only the patient will get admitted. So that there will be, and after admission also, we see the patient just day before operation for pre-operative instructions. But these things are previously taken into account. Then respiratory care. Some patients we see, you see that nowadays so much pollution, so much, many patients suffer from respiratory disease, maybe chronic obstructive airway disease or bronchial asthma. If those patients you get, then you have to treat accordingly previously, before patient got admitted, so that the lungs becomes clear, then only the patient get admitted. The ICU. The ICU, in most of the areas, the ICU is under the guidance of an anesthesiologist. That ICU may be general ICU or surgical ICU. After post-operative, the surgical patients, they are sent to those ICUs, and there is CTVS. After cardiothoracic vascular surgery, all the patients are sent into the CCU, critical care unit, for 1 to 3 days, depending on the gravity of the case. And after neurosurgical cases, suppose a big hemangioma is removed, or a pituitary tumor, a cipiangle tumor, these patients after operation, they are put into the neurosurgical ICU. So there are so many ICUs, and all are under the guidance of this anesthesiologist. Then pain clinic. Nowadays, many hospitals, in our hospital also, there is one pain clinic, but no instruments are available now. But in Kolkata, there are pain clinics, there are multiple procedures are done to relieve the pain. The pain may be of 2 types. One is acute pain, that is the patient is suffering after operation, the patient suffers pain for 2-3 days, you have to give the proper pain relief for the patient. Another is chronic pain relief. Chronic pain, patient is suffering from, nowadays many patients suffer from low back pain or pain on the knees. So these are chronic pain services. These patients are also taken care of by the anesthesiologist. Then labor and delivery suite. The labor pain is the most painful pain one can imagine. So nowadays painless labor is very much popularized, but not so in our country due to the population, but in the Western country, when their patient load is less, so there is what they do, they first, when the patient comes in early labor, they give Entonox, that is 50% oxygen and 50% nitrous oxide. The first stage of labor, by inhaling those, the pain is relieved. Afterwards, they put one epidural catheter. That will come, I'll come afterwards. In epidural catheter, very low dose of local anesthetic agent is given. So the patient, it is called walking epidural. Patient can walk around, the pain is relieved, but the labor is progressed. And if labor is not progressed so much, then you give higher concentration, and by giving this epidural, cesarean section or any instrumental delivery, that is done. That is labor analgesia. Radiology suite. Some patients, especially children, while doing this CT scan or MRI scan, they naturally got frightened. So you have to give some sort of anesthesia and come outside and monitor from outside with attaching the monitors, so that the radiological procedure, there are many, nowadays interventional radiology has come into practice. So interventional radiologists also, there is some sort of anesthesia, very light, so that the patient is not become apprehensive. Radiology suit, then cardiac catheterization. Many synoptic heart disease patients, children, they have some, for their diagnosis, cardiac catheterization is to be done. But this cardiac catheterization you cannot do in a small child without anesthesia. So there is the role of anesthesiologist in cardiac catheterization, for cardiac catheterization. Gastroenterology suit. Some endoscopic procedures. Nowadays, these gastroscopy, colonoscopy, ERCP, these things, some patients allow, but some patients do not allow. So there also you have to give some sort of anesthesia. So there is also the role of anesthesiologist. Opioid detoxification. The drug, nowadays very young generation, they are under the influence of drug. If you suddenly withdraw, there will be withdrawal phenomenon. So these detoxification centers, anesthesiologists are trying by giving other drugs, not those drugs, but giving other drugs gradually to, so that the patient becomes normal again. Then trauma team. Whenever there is one, suppose a bus accident or train accident, there is casualty, mass casualty, and huge, many patients are under trauma. So there is also the role of anesthesiologist to relieve the pain on the site, or while transferring the patient from the accident site to the hospital. Some patients have cervical spine fracture, so that this should be taken care of, and these are done by the anesthesiologist. Emergency team. Suppose, well, we were in hospital in Kolkata, suppose Prime Minister is coming, President is coming. So an anesthetic team was formed, comprising of medicine specialist, surgery specialist, persons from blood bank with blood, because that blood group is known of the Prime Minister of, and anesthesiologist. If necessary, these comprises team, and when they are here, this team is ready to take care of him if anything happens. Ambulatory care centers. Nowadays, these ambulatory care centers, ambulatory patients are, because there is so much population, if for small procedures, if the patient is to be admitted in hospital and occupy a bed, there will be the other patients who require, their time will be delayed. So nowadays, in pediatric surgery, the hernia, the undescended testes, the phimosis, these patients are all done under daycare surgery or ambulatory surgery. There is the role of anesthesiologist. You have to properly anesthetize the patient, because all these are children, and afterwards the patient must be ready to go to home. So that both the things, the patient should be anesthetized properly and post-operative recovery should be so that the patient can safely send to home. And CPCR, that you all know, cardiopulmonary cerebral resuscitation. There is the immense role played by the anesthesiologist. Suppose on the street while going to market, you saw one person fell down. So say, there are procedures, how you will examine the patient, what you will do, how to give cardiac massage, how to give artificial respiration. That is another chapter that will be taken by one of our colleagues in next class. Next. The types of anesthesia. One is local anesthesia. What is local anesthesia? Suppose here is small tumor or sebaceous cyst is to be removed. So you don't need to anesthetize the patient properly. You just locally infiltrate the area with a local anesthetic agent, and when the surgeon saw that the area is numb, then he just remove the tumor. Then comes regional anesthesia. Regional anesthesia means loss of sensation over a specific region of the body. Nowadays, these hernia, hydrocele, and mostly the cesarean section. Nowadays, when we were postgraduates, we did all the cesarean section under general anesthesia. But general anesthesia has many hazards during cesarean section. So by giving this regional anesthesia, mostly subarachnoid block, these all hazards can be avoided. So nowadays, 90%, 95% of cesarean section is done under the regional anesthesia, that is subarachnoid block. The specific region, that means the lower limb, you give one subarachnoid block in lumbar 1 or 2, then the lower limb is anesthetized. And in male, the hernia, hydrocele, undescended testis, everything you can do under this subarachnoid block. And also, suppose nowadays the brachial block is very popularized. So there is some operations to be done on the hand. So you give one brachial block. So you don't need to fully anesthetize the patient. Patient becomes conscious and the area is anesthetized. Then is monitored anesthesia care or MAC. That is conscious sedation. Conscious sedation means, I told you, in radiological suite or in endoscopic procedures, there is some IV anesthetic agents are given and anesthesiologist monitors the pulse, blood pressure, the oxygen saturation, everything. So that the patient is anesthetized, unconscious, but not fully anesthetized. That is monitored anesthesia care. And then comes general anesthesia. When there is major surgery, the patient totally we give general anesthesia, so the patient becomes totally unconscious, unresponsive during the operative procedure. Next. So what are the steps? Before any anesthetic procedures, the following steps are to be followed. First of all, I told you that in the pre-anesthetic clinic, we did all the history taking and all this. When the patient has been admitted, before the operation, the day before operation, we again see the patient whether everything, suppose you saw the patient 15 days back. Recently the patient developed some cough and cold, and the patient has been admitted for repair of hernia. If the patient has cough, there is every likelihood that the patient will again develop that hernia. There is no need for, no advantage doing the operation. So, before the day of operation, the patient again is seen by the anesthesiologist for final verdict. And all the physical examination, laboratory tests, all are, from the ticket, we go through all the laboratory tests, whether everything is normal or not. The patient preparation, optimization. Suppose the patient is hypertensive, patient is suffering from hypothyroidism, whether they are optimized, the pressure is now normal, the thyroid function is now normal, everything has been optimized, that should be taken care of. Then the equipments and supplies of drugs and monitoring devices. When the patient is, we got the patient in the operation theatre, beforehand we checked all the instruments, all the anesthetic apparatus, everything. If general anesthesia, the anesthesia machine, the gas, previously we used the cylinder. Nowadays continuous supply is available, so no problem. But every equipment should be checked before administering anesthesia. The drugs, all the drugs, because the drugs we use, all are lethal drugs, because you anesthetize the patient, but if you give overdose, the patient may die. So the drugs should be properly checked, and when you, everything should be labeled. When you take the drugs in the syringe, it should be labeled which syringe contains which drug. And monitoring devices. In our times, our hands and eyes and ears are the only monitors. We auscultate the heart and lungs, we saw the patient, we feel the pulse, we saw the surgical site, whether the blood, the color of blood. We are very scared of the surgeon. If the surgeon says, hey, blood kalo hocche, that means there is oxygenation, some problem in oxygenation. But nowadays, multi-parameter monitor is available in everywhere, where pulse, continuous monitoring of pulse, blood pressure, and ECG, and EtCO2 monitor is also available to the end-tidal carbon dioxide, to measure the end-tidal carbon dioxide, and the thermometer, the temperature. So multi-parameter monitor. Then the pre-anesthetic medications, because if the patient is apprehensive, there will be sympathetic stimulation, there will be increase in pulse rate, blood pressure. So some tranquilizer or sedative are to be given beforehand. Then induction of anesthesia by, I'll come in afterwards, by volatile agent or IV induction agent. Then the maintenance of, if the patient is to be intubated, you have to give muscle relaxant and intubate the patient. Then the maintenance of anesthesia during the procedure, continuous monitoring, and when the surgeon finishes the case, you have to reverse the patient and extubate. Then you have to judge whether the patient has recovered fully from the effects of anesthesia before sending the patient either to the ward or to PACU, anywhere you have to judge. Then either you send the patient to ward or to post-anesthetic care unit. Then the proper anesthesia, I told you, the local anesthesia, one is topical, one is infiltration. Topical means, suppose you have to do one nasal intubation. So it is very painful to put the endotracheal tube through nose. So you soak a piece cotton swab in the local anesthetic, pack the nose, keep for 5 minutes. Then you see that the mucous membrane is anesthetized. So patient will not feel any pain while you introducing this endotracheal tube through the nose. And another is infiltration, that is infiltrate the area with local anesthetic agent so that the area becomes numb and surgeon can operate. Then regional anesthesia, the regional anesthesia, one is peripheral nerve block. I told you that brachial plexus block, that is peripheral nerve block. Previously it was done blindly, but after that muscle nerve stimulator was available. So the area, you have to know the idea, which area is to be anesthetized, which muscle is supplying that area and which nerve is supplying that muscle. So you have to anesthetize that nerve so that that area becomes paralyzed. So we did it by muscle nerve stimulator, but nowadays ultrasound is available, and by ultrasound has another advantage, that by giving local anesthesia by ultrasound, you are depositing the local anesthetic in the vicinity of the nerve, so less amount of local anesthetic is needed. If you do blindly, you have to give much more amount. But as you can decrease the amount of local anesthetic, so the hazards associated with local anesthetic, toxicity or overdose, that can be minimized by giving by this using ultrasound. And regional, under regional, there may be epidural. Epidural, it is cervical epidural, thoracic epidural. Cervical epidural we do not give, it is difficult, but thoracic epidural is very much available, and post-operative for pain relief of this cardiothoracic surgery, and breast, CA breast surgery, where huge area is cut, so the patient will feel pain. There is the role of thoracic epidural, and most commonly used is lumbar epidural. For all the operations below umbilicus, you can do by this subarachnoid block, subarachnoid lumbar epidural block, and caudal. Caudal epidural is very, very useful in this ambulatory surgery in pediatric patients. We routinely give caudal epidural in children undergoing hernia or hydrocele or mostly phimosis. Phimosis operation is very painful. So by giving this caudal epidural, it is very easy to give, and patient is so relieved of pain that after 3-4 hours the patient is totally pain free, and parents are also very glad, and everybody, surgeon is glad, everybody is glad. So caudal epidural is an immense role in pediatric surgery patients. Then spinal means subarachnoid block. I have told you earlier that most of the cesarean sections nowadays are done under subarachnoid block, and also the varicose vein, stripping of varicose vein, hernia, hydrocele, undecentric testes, any operation in the perineum, fistula, fissure, piles, all are done under this spinal. Then intravenous regional, it is not so much popularized. It is a technique by which the local anesthetic is given intravenously, and this Bayer's block, that is totally under the domain of anesthesiology, but it is not so much popularized. Next. And in general anesthesia, then comes the proper general anesthesia. General anesthesia, you can administer via inhalational agent, oxygen nitrous oxide, along with any volatile agent, previously ether, then halothane, nowadays sevoflurane, isoflurane, desflurane, these are available, or halogenated ethers, or total intravenous anesthesia, that is TIVA. In this small procedures where the patient is apprehensive, small operations, you give just total intravenous anesthesia. By intravenous route, one channel is done, and through that channel, you give total intravenous anesthesia and monitoring. Monitoring is whether the patient's blood pressure and oxygen saturation, especially because all these anesthetic agents we use, mostly they are respiratory depression, causes respiratory depression. Analgesic agents also, especially morphine. Morphine is very much causes respiratory depression. So you have to monitor the patient, but you give TIVA or total intravenous anesthesia. What do you mean by balanced anesthesia? The balanced anesthesia, you have to administer anesthesia first by oxygen nitrous oxide, then some volatile agents with some intravenous anesthetic agents, and these adjuncts means you have to give some analgesic agents, because though you maintain a plane of anesthesia, patient still feels pain. So you have to give IV analgesic. It may be morphine, it may be pethidine or fortuin, anything. Nowadays fentanyl is very available, and fentanyl is very good, short acting, not long acting like morphine. But it has got, morphine is very notorious for delayed respiratory depression, because this morphine is water soluble. But so delayed respiratory depression may take place. You send the patient to a ward, and after that there is respiratory depression that may get unnoticed. So different types of IV anesthetic adjuncts are available for pain relief. That is the part of this balanced anesthesia. Next. So what is general anesthesia? First, there is loss of response to and perception of all external stimuli. After administering anesthesia, surgeon just with this tissue forceps see whether the patient is moving or not. Oh, okay, done. Then the components of general anesthesia is amnesia. The patient will not recall anything afterwards. Analgesia, there will be less free of pain. Then anxiolysis. By giving these drugs, there is no anxiety. Areflexia. That means if the patient is conscious, he will take away the limb when you try to operate on limb. So there is areflexia. Patient will not have any reflex. And attenuation of autonomic response to painful stimuli. That is very important, because if there is sympathetic stimulation, you have physiology, you know that if there is sympathetic stimulation, there will be increase in pulse rate, increase in heart rate, increase in blood pressure. If the patient has some coronary artery disease, if there is increase in heart rate, there will be increased oxygen demand that may precipitate ischemia. So that is very important, this attenuation of this autonomic response. And muscle relaxation if needed. If needed means any thoracic or abdominal operations, muscle relaxation is necessary, otherwise the surgeon cannot operate. So muscle relaxation is given by the muscle relaxants. Next, general anesthesia, both are available. Inhalational, that is gas, I told you. Gas means nitrous oxide, oxygen, and in the volatile liquids, halothane, isoflurane, desflurane, sevoflurane, these all are now it is available. So you have to choose any one of them. The sevoflurane is, nowadays we use sevoflurane because it is quick in, quick out. Anesthesia is in a small time, and recovery is also very fast. And in the parenteral route, the main thing IV agent is barbiturates, thiopentone. It has still got exposition for so many years. Then other benzodiazepines are also available in the form of midazolam. And the opioids, fentanyl is now most commonly used. Previously pethidine, morphine, everything was used, photoin. And the miscellaneous, in the miscellaneous, this propofol, etomidate. These are used nowadays because etomidate has cardiac stability is high. So in a cardiac patient, the intravenous agent of choice is etomidate. Next. In general anesthesia, what happens? This is the loss of response to and perception from all external stimuli. Oh, এটা তো হয়ে গেছে. Next. ও উল্টো দিকে করছো, অন্য দিকে করতে হবে, ও তো ভুল দিয়ে গেল, উল্টো দিক থেকে করতে হবে। হ্যাঁ, what are the skills to be developed? The skills that an anesthetist must have, they are first of all the airway management. Anesthesiologists are called for airway management. That is the most important. So it is in bold letter. You have to judge the necessity when to intubate the patient. Suppose a patient has come with foreign body in throat. Children very often come with coin or some seeds, badam, peanuts. So you have to assess the airway, and airway management is the most important part, but otherwise you will lose the patient. Then resuscitation, patient come in a very shock stage, so you have to resuscitate the patient. That is also the way of anesthesiologists. You have to know, have a clear idea about the physiology, pharmacology of all the drugs and pathology. Then the fluid replacement. If the fluid is, because the patients are instruction given, nothing per mouth from the morning. Suppose the patient is diabetic, and he is Generally, these diabetic patients are put first in the list. But anyway, some problem is going on, the patient is nothing per mouth for 6, 10 hours, 8 hours. So you have to judge the fluid replacement properly done or not. And the subarachnoid block, in the subarachnoid block, there is hypotension. So you have to preload the patient with the balanced salt solution so that patient does not develop any hypotension. And the reduction of operative stress by giving these analgesic agents and post-operative pain control. That is also under the domain of the anesthesiologists, because if in the post-operative period there is nowadays a knee replacement is very commonly done. So for 72 hours after knee replacement, you put one epidural catheter and give local anesthetic diluted through that route, so that the first 72 hours patient doesn't have experience any pain. Next. Anesthesia and mortality. What a change. In 1950, the death rate from anesthesia was 1 in 1,500. In 1995, death rate from anesthesia is 1 in 250,000. What is the cause of this decline in death rate? Previously, কারোর অপারেশন হবে ভাবতো আমি বেঁচে ফিরে আসবো কিনা, but nowadays nobody thinks that I will not come back. Everybody thinks that everything will be done and I'll again recover. So what is the cause? The discovery of newer anesthetic agents, analgesics and volatile anesthetics, and newer anesthetic equipments as well as delivery system. These are all in modern anesthesia. Due to the discovery of all these things, the anesthesia, the complication and the mortality rate falls. And the discovery of different multi-parameter monitors. Previously, I told you that only our hand, eyes and ears are the only monitor. But nowadays, pulse to pulse variation, everything, continuous ECG monitoring, whether any myocardial depression is taking place, everything you can see throughout the period of anesthesia. So you can take the measure accordingly at once. So that is important. The delivery system. Previously, the oxygen nitrous oxide, nowadays the machines are available. If you do not give oxygen, that you cannot give nitrous oxide. But previously, the machines were not that. The patient is having nitrous oxide, the oxygen falls. These safety measures now have been incorporated in the modern anesthetic machines. The different multi-parameter monitors to judge the ongoing hemodynamics, EtCO2 monitor, whether the carbon dioxide washout is properly done. If there is increase in carbon dioxide, then there will be increase in bleeding. So carbon dioxide washout is also very much necessary. And on this monitor, bispectral index. By bispectral index, you can monitor the depth of anesthesia, whether the patient is having the proper surgical plane of anesthesia. Depth of anesthesia, entropy, FOB guided intubation, supraglottic airway devices. These are actually, I think, not needed just now, but the supraglottic airway devices means the LMA, laryngeal mask airway. Sometimes it may so happen that you cannot intubate the patient. So that time, if you put one laryngeal mask airway, it will and inflate it and ventilate through the laryngeal mask airway, the patient can be saved. So these are all the modern gadgets which are available that the safety limit is increased. Next. Previous one. Next one. The safety. Safety in anesthesia is very, very important. You have to be very much cautious, because in anesthesiology, you cannot have much time in your hand. What you have to do, quickly you have to do it. Otherwise, you may lose the patient or any permanent damage. If there is oxygen, lack of oxygen in brain for more than 5 minutes, the patient will become vegetative state. So there are so much nowadays a litigation, suing, everything. In our country, it is not so common, but in Western country, it is very common. So, safety, eternal vigilance is the key to success. My professor, under whom I did my house job, I did my post-graduation, he told us one thing. The first case, you will administer anesthesia single-handedly. The concentration, the attention you give to that patient, when you give your last case in your life, you give the same concentration, same attention to the patient. Because that patient, if anything happens, that family has 100% loss. So, attention, never be negligent to your patient. অনেকে আছে দিয়ে ওখানে বসে গল্প করছে, ওখানে মনিটর লাগানো আছে, আর মনিটরে কোক আওয়াজ হচ্ছে দেখছেই না। So eternal vigilance is the key success of an anesthesiologist. Good judgment is based on experience. Experience is very much important. If you see one complication, you will never forget in your life that this thing may happen. Based on experience, and experience is based on bad judgment. একটা জিনিস যদি ভুল হয়, you will remember forever that this was done and it was not good for the patient. Sever your success, but do so quickly and move on. Dwelling on them causes overconfidence. Suppose you are in trouble, so you call for help. You take the help of other people, so that by 3 or 4 people is there, one is giving the fluid, one is the airway. So you have helping hands. So never be so overconfident that I'll do all on my own. Not so. Some patients you think will get better, may get worse. And some patients you think will get worse, may get better. My sir said, 2 plus 2 is 4, but sometimes 2 plus 2 is 5. When you think that this patient will not survive, but that patient survives. And 2 plus 2 is 3. When you see that a patient kichu hobe na, but that patient has developed complications. When you are making decision on your round, put personal problems aside. Give full concentration to the patient. Then you are thinking what my son is doing, whether he has gone to school, whether the housemaid has come or not. No, you don't have any other things in your mind. Only concentration to the patient. Next. You get to interact with the whole medical and surgical team while managing a complicated case with severe comorbidities. Suppose a Whipple's operation is to be done. The patient is diabetic. The patient is hypertensive. So a medical board is formed, which is consisting of the surgeon, the endocrinologist, the medical specialist, or the patient has some respiratory problems. So the pulmonologist and the anesthetist. So you have to do a meeting and chalk out the procedures, what is to be done, how to manage the patient. So these are combined effort of all the doctors. If you have to individualize each patient. What suits one might not suit the next. Every patient is different. So there is no generalized rule. You have to judge each and every patient. Support different situations by specific tools. Suppose if there is some European anesthetic assessment, you see that you may apprehend that I may not intubate the patient if there is problem. Now as a fiber optic bronchoscope is available. So get ready the fiber optic bronchoscope, get ready the laryngeal mask airway, so that if one thing fails, the next thing is in your hand. Patient is more important than our ego. Call for help whenever the patient is in danger. What I called, if you are in trouble, call for help. Next. Time ho gache. The Macintosh noted, for the surgeon, the spinal ends with the injection of the patient. The injection given, the surgeon said that, the injection is given, I'll operate. But for the anesthetist, it begins with the injection of the agent. Because after giving the injection, there may be hypotension, there may be so much complications. So the anesthetist role begins from that time. Next. Anesthesia subspecialties, nowadays so much subspecialties are there, anesthesia for cardiac vascular surgery, anesthesia for DNB courses are available for neurosurgical DNB, for neurosurgical anesthesia, for cardiothoracic anesthesia, everything. All the neurosurgical anesthesia for hepatobiliary, obstetric analgesia, labor analgesia, geriatric, pediatric surgery, laparoscopic surgery, for ophthalmic ENT surgery, organ transplant, very much nowadays organ transplant, liver transplant, kidney transplant, everything is done. Anesthesia for trauma, anesthesia for robotic and laser surgery, intensive care medicine and CPCR. Next. Thank you.